Welcome to the Generative Age,
a podcast that explores the rapidly evolving world of generative AI and its impact on education.
Guided by EdTech Director, author, and NYSCAPE board member Alana Winnick. We are joined by experts and practitioners in the field who are shaping the discourse of artificial intelligence in the classroom.
Whether you're an educator, administrator, technology leader, or simply interested in the future of education, join us on this journey through the Generative Age, powered by NYSCAPE. Welcome back to the Generative Age. Today, I'm so excited to share this episode with you. I have two very special guests named Soham and Amiya, and what makes them a little bit different than my traditional guests is they're actually students. You might remember Soham from NYSCAPE if you were at our annual conference. He sat on the Generative Age panel. He did his TED Talk before the ending keynote, and he really immersed himself in the conference experience. Soham and Amiya are co-founders of Students for Innovation, which is an organization that I started, and I'm so incredibly fortunate to be surrounded by these absolutely incredible students who I take no credit for any of this. They do all the really hard work themselves, and I'm so excited for you to hear what I've been working on and why you might not have seen as many episodes in the past few months. They're going to tell us a little bit about their student-led virtual summit in May, so make sure you go to studentsforinnovation.org and register for this conference. We're featuring students from all around the world. So far as India. If you have any students that you would like to share the innovative things you're doing in your school, please feel free to have them put in a proposal. We definitely want you to join us, so check out that website. And we're going to do things a little bit differently today. I'm not going to do the field updates at the beginning. Those are going to be towards the end because Soham and Amiya will be joining me in the updates. And as you could see when you get to that part of the segment, I absolutely loved it. It was so fun for me to do the updates with them, and I might actually continue doing that because it was really enjoyable. So hopefully you enjoy this episode as much as I did, and hopefully we see you at the Students for Innovation Summit in May. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach me.
Hi, I'm Soham. I'm a current high school senior based out of North New Jersey. And I am a co-founder, along with Ms. Winnick and Amiya, of Students for Innovation. And before we get into what that is, I'm going to pass it off to Amiya to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Amiya, and I'm a 10th grader at Ridge High School, and I'm also a co-founder of Students for Innovation, like Soham said. And I'm really excited to be here today to have a great conversation about AI.
Well, these two students I have gotten to know quite well over the past a little less than 1 year. And we're going to talk a little bit about our story and how it originated. I know that I normally do field updates in the beginning, and in today's episode, they're going to join me and we're going to do field updates together. But before we do that, I just thought maybe people would want to know a little bit more about Students for Innovation and how it came about. They are incredible students who are so driven and ambitious, and I give them 100% of the credit for everything we've done because they work tirelessly behind the scenes on weekends, late at night, and I want them to tell you a little bit about all the work they've been doing.
Students for Innovation came about in two different ways. Like, I have a different story and Amiya has a different story. So I'm going to first tell my story. Last year, I got really interested in thinking about AI in education, working with students in my school and teachers, and then eventually local town mayors and the Board of Education. And I was looking for mentors in the space who could help me take my efforts to a larger level, like a state or a national level. So I ended up filling out the Contact Me form on Miss Winnick's website. And I did not think I was going to get a response, but I actually ended up getting a response pretty quickly. And we set up a meeting for the next week, and that meeting lasted like 3 hours. And I was stoked because another adult had listened to me for a longer period of time about a topic that I was passionate about. And then from there, we brainstormed ways we could take my work on a small local level to a larger state and national level. And then I'll pass it off to Amiya to continue with her story.
Wait, before Amiya goes, I just want to point out something that you said that I think was really important. That you said that you were stoked that an adult actually listened to what you had to say. So that's something that resonated with me when we connected. And that's part of my story because you have such great ideas and you are a very eloquent speaker and get your ideas across. And the fact that you felt like people weren't listening to you was where that was a moment for me when I realized, wow, this is a problem that we have to solve together. So I'll let Mia tell her part of her story.
Yeah, so my journey started 2 years ago when I had an eighth grade teacher who was really interested in trying to explore the new, at the time, AI technology. And so I started working with her, and we presented at Drew University about AI in education. And I started getting really interested in the topic. And so I asked her for more opportunities all the time. And then around January last year, I joined a call. It was like a webinar, and Miss Winnick was on the webinar as well, and she was speaking about this very podcast. And so I was really excited by that. And so I sent her an email asking her that I know that usually her podcast is filled with a bunch of experts in the field that she asks questions to, but I told her that I think that the student voice is really important, and I wanted to know whether as a student I could be on the podcast. And she got back to me really quickly, and she told me that she thinks that that's a great idea, and she also has another project that she's thinking of doing in another student who has similar goals. And so that's when she connected me with Soham, and we sat together and we began this organization.
Yeah, and I think here you are a year later actually on the podcast. So it
Yeah,
happened. But I think that this year is different than last year because a lot has happened in the past year, right?
Yeah.
a
So
lot.
what's happened? Tell them, what have you guys been up to?
So we've had the opportunity to speak at many virtual and in-person national level conferences like Week of AI, AI Literacy Day, and most recently the Ditch Summit, and even a startup summit, a startup webinar with Brisk. And the most important one for me was actually the NiceGate in-person summit last year, November, where I was the only student attending, and there were around like 1,500 educators and me, the student with the sole student badge, which was quite funny.
Yeah.
And I just remember having such a great time. I was able to share my story with so many different kinds of people. And I am looking to bring that opportunity to more students across the nation. Like, students should be attending educator conferences, students should be providing their own voice. And I think it's a shame that right now students aren't doing that. And that's one of the reasons behind Students for Innovation. Amia, if you want to continue on what we've accomplished so far.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, we've spoken at many conferences, and that's been a great opportunity for me to be able to use my voice to tell other educators what I think should happen in education. But like Soham was saying, that's what we've been doing, but now we're ready to take that a step further and not just empower ourselves to make a difference in educators and in the classroom, but also provide a platform for other students to also join us in advocating for what we think should happen in the classroom.
And that brings us to our next big project, which is Students for Innovation virtual conference. So this will be taking place in May. And our goal is for the conference to be by students for educators and a direct outlet for students across the nation, across the world, to share how they feel about innovative technology to educators in these spaces. And right now, we're looking for your support. We're looking for students to come sign up and present, and we're looking for educators to come join.
To register for our conference as educators and teachers, head to our website at studentsforinnovation.org and enter your email, and we'll send you any updated information that we have, and we'll see you at the conference.
And so teachers, if you work with students, which I'm sure you do, or you lead a club, this is amplifying the work that you're doing. So I would really encourage you to have your students share what's happening in your schools and your classrooms, and highlight your mentorship as a teacher and what you're doing because you're doing such great things.
I think that one of the biggest parts of this conference is that students are presenting to teachers. So that's kind of that platform that I was talking about earlier. And so we've planned different ways for students to make proposals to us, and then given that proposal will help them and mentor the students, help them build a presentation that we think would be most effective for what they're really passionate about, and then give them that platform. So students will have a chance to work with us, work with mentors to refine their presentations, and then the final conference will come. And I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited for it. Um, so I think what was interesting was this all started as AI, but then we didn't choose to put the word AI in our name. So who wants to tell people why we did that?
I can take that. So I think that this story is really inspiring because as we first sat down together, we were all pretty set on Students for AI or including AI in the name of our organization. But then as we kind of got into our conversation, we realized that right now in today's world, AI is the biggest thing, the biggest new technology that we have to incorporate in education, make sure that students are given the opportunity to use it. But what about 10 years down the line, even 50 years down the line? And over the decades, over time, new technology is going to come. Right now, yeah, AI is the big thing, but who knows what's going to be the new big technology that students need to learn in schools in order to keep up and be successful in 50 years. And so we realized that what we really care about is students having the opportunity to innovate and to become thinkers in the classroom. And right now, incorporating AI in the classroom and teaching students how to use AI is how we can make the biggest impact on helping students become more innovative. And so that's why we decided to make our name Students for Innovation, because that's our end goal and not just Students for AI. So, if you want to add to that.
I think you put it pretty eloquently. I think the big idea is longevity. If we're actually trying to create something that will benefit students in the future, if we just tie that to AI after the next technology hype cycle and when things change, the organization will have no basis. And by focusing on innovation, we're creating a level of flexibility for the future.
And what does innovation mean to you?
So I think innovation to me is a constant desire to think about how we can make existing systems better. So right now, we're thinking about how we can make education better through AI, right? And in the future, education might be made better through other kinds of technologies. But just to innovate is to simply think about how you can make an entire system for an entire group of people better at the same time. Like not just helping one kid or two kids, but changing a system so that all kids are supported in a better way.
Yeah, and I just want to add a word to that because I feel like innovation really starts with curiosity. And I think that using AI and whatever new technologies come as time goes on in the classroom really helps build curiosity for students. And I know it's helped build mine, which we'll definitely go into later. But I think that that's where it all starts, and that's how innovation begins. And that's why I think it's so important.
And I think, as someone who was in your shoes quite a bit of time ago and then was a teacher and now I'm a leader, I personally have not seen a change in the classroom. Like when I was in your shoes sitting in a chair in school, it hasn't fundamentally changed all that much. Like, yeah, you guys have computers, but the types of tasks you're being asked to do haven't fundamentally changed. And every other industry has sort of evolved and changed, and education really hasn't innovated at all. So I think this is our opportunity to shake up and redefine what we think it should look like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to just jump straight into the AI now. So I think what I'll do is I'll ask you my famous three questions. What's one creative way that you use AI personally? And the other one, I usually say professionally, but you're a student. So, like in your school life.
So I can start. I think that one way I use AI personally is to help me learn about more that's going on and to help me become more curious. And For example, if I have a question about something, even if it's something for school that I'm using AI for, and I'm having a conversation with it, and then that kind of brings me into something else, then I can then explore that new idea. And I feel like AI gives me the opportunity to explore so much more and learn about so much more than I would be able to if I was just um, searching something up or talking with somebody else. And I know, Soham, you have a lot of experience with that. So if you want to share a story.
I totally agree. And I think I'll give my 2 ways as well. Creatively and personally, I use AI to curate YouTube videos. There's a great tool I use that when I can enter a topic and it will give me a selection of 10 to 20 YouTube videos on that topic, but cut the YouTube video appropriately so it only gives me the information that I need from those videos. So that's extremely helpful for learning lots of dense topics pretty quickly. And then professionally, in my education environment, I do find myself using AI tools for physics and STEM, where I need to generate practice problems and learn the intuition behind certain kinds of problems. And I find myself using AI tools as a tutor, I would say, for quick support, specifically in and math, STEM, and other kinds of fields.
Going back to professionally or in education, I think some specific examples of where I've used AI have been to similarly to Soham, but also in a different subject in English. I use it to give it some questions that my teacher's given me for practice and generate more practice questions. So I just have a larger set of study tools that I can work with, and also with even with writing, I've used it to help me improve my outline and make sure everything flows well before I start writing a piece, and also to give me feedback after I've finished. It's definitely made me a better writer, a better thinker, and better at school.
So what would you guys say to the infamous question of, is it cheating? Because you know that like half, not
Yeah.
my listeners, people that are listening to this podcast obviously don't think, I hope you guys don't think it's cheating. But what would you say to someone who thought, oh, you should not use this, it's cheating?
I think there's a very fine line between what's considered cheating and not considered cheating, but I don't think that there is a rationale for just saying using AI at all is considered cheating, because it depends fully on the way you're using AI. And I think that using AI to help you generate more ideas and be more creative, like the way that Soham and I are using it, or to help us study, or to help us come up with more topics that we're passionate about, is cannot be considered cheating. And where you draw that line fully depends on what you're doing with it and what assignment you're completing. And I think we'll probably go into that more later, and what we as Students for Innovation have been really focused on. But I think that drawing that line fully depends on what the assignment is or what you're doing is. And so I think for writing an essay, for example, just putting in a prompt and getting an essay out of it, I would consider that somewhat cheating, because us as the students aren't putting in any work, but rather using AI or being taught to use AI to help us think more and make us more creative cannot be considered cheating.
I want to add to that because I think for me, where I draw my own line for cheating and cheating use is in pure generative use of AI versus transformative use. And what I'll frame that as, if a student is generating an entire answer to a homework assignment, an essay, whatever it may be, just by entering the homework assignment or the essay prompt, that would obviously be cheating. But if the student already has material or work or ideas that they've workshopped, maybe with or without AI, but like tangible, written, or maybe some kind of tangible work that they've put together without the use of AI, and then they're using AI to workshop their existing ideas. I do think that's where the lines of cheating get blurred a lot. And that's where a lot of practices, maybe not cheating at all.
You guys answered the second question pretty much. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Pretty much answered. I mean, is there anywhere else you would never, ever, ever use AI?
I would never give AI like an AI chatbot or like a mental health AI chatbot to like a 4-year-old or 5-year-old who doesn't have friends. Like that would be like another place where I would draw the line. I wouldn't anthropomorphize AI for anybody under like 13.
I really love that. I know that Soham was on the generative age panel at NiceGate, and we're gonna hopefully release that episode. I still don't have the recording. First of all, he crushed it. For everyone listening, he went up against Tom Murray, Ken Shelton, Carl Hooker, and it's a point-based panel like you've seen from the one from ISTE, that episode, which was awesome. Soham blew them out of the water and surpassed them with so many points. So I'm very excited to post that one for you guys. And that question was an interesting one. I think that was where you really shined and came through with your opinion about the anthropomorphizing AI. Because there was recently when I talked about here that student, I don't remember exactly how old they were. They might have been 18, who unfortunately committed suicide because of the chatbot. So, but do you think that Soham, if Enemiya, if it was a mental health chatbot that was not a character AI of Khaleesi Game of Thrones, but
Yeah.
what was meant to be a mental health chatbot, how do you feel about that? Do you think people should use those or not use those?
I just think the literature on those right now is very much specific to 18 plus. And there's been no actual studies that have validated the use of mental health chatbots sub or below 18 years old, which is why I'm hesitant to deploy mental health chatbots in place of therapists for minors. But what I will say is for individuals 18 plus, I do think they can be used well.
I think that right now the technology in mental health chatbots may not be what we need, especially for those minors and younger kids who need the connections. And I think that like even as young as 4 and 5, I don't think that mental health chatbots will be able to talk them through their problems. And I think that physical human to human connection is necessary at this point with the technology we have today. But in the future, I'm definitely open to seeing what this technology improves into.
And I want to add to that real quick, just because like the Gen Z or even the Gen Z loneliness crisis is one of the biggest problems of our current time. Like the amount of social interaction in the last few years has heavily decreased. So I do think you have to use every experience, every opportunity to connect people, not through a screen, but physically, and allow individuals to build better relationships, because that's the only way we can get through this period of intense social isolation.
I don't even think it's intense social isolation. I think in a world right now where we're going to talk about the field updates where AI could literally do your work for you as an adult, with these operators and these agents can physically take over your computer and do work for you. We're going to have to rethink what our value is. And I think our value is our humanness, right? So we need to focus on those human skills, because that's what when you graduate, you know, you're still in high school, and then you have, if you go to college, which I think that you two are, I know Soham's asking me to write him recommendations, so I think it's in his cards. By the time you get out, it's going to be 4 years from now.
Yeah.
And the AI will have evolved so much where some jobs, like an administrative assistant, not that I'm saying you would do that, will no longer be, because someone could say, book me a flight and a trip and a hotel for my conference, and the AI can literally book the entire thing for them. So there will be so many jobs eliminated. I think there'll be a lot of maybe some jobs created, but fostering and focusing on what makes you uniquely human, I think, is incredibly important in this world. What do you think that looks like? I guess let's go there. What do you think someone needs to be successful? when you guys graduate, what will you need to be successful?
I
I
think
think
it's go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think that we need to focus on our human qualities, and I think that that involves a lot of developing in the more newer technologies in STEM, as well as also focusing on humanities, because writing is something that will never be able to completely be taken over by AI, because there's always the human voice and personal writer's voice element that goes into writing, any type of writing. So I think that that's a big thing that we should focus on. And I think that in the world, as AI becomes more and more influential, I think that what it will do is it'll take over all the small, mundane tasks that are in a lot of jobs, and it'll give humans that time, and that time that they were before dedicating to tedious tasks that can be done by AI, they will have that time to now focus on thinking and innovation and coming up with new creative ideas that can help improve problems in the world. And I think that that's such a big positive thing that AI can do, because having that time to focus on innovation and creating more solutions to problems will help our world improve.
I always say that's the only thing you can't get more of and you can't buy. You can't, like,
Exactly.
time. It's the only thing that's like finite, and it's the same for every person. And you can't buy more time unless you cut time and save time, and then you have more, right?
Yeah, I want to add to that. I think there's this idea of a moat uh to achieving success. And I think, sorry, in the past, that moat has been very much intellectual or like intelligence based. Like you have to put in a lot of work to gain the skills and gain the intelligence to do things. But I think now the value of intelligence actually decreases a little bit because you don't need to know all the things to do all the things, right? And I do think what matters more is just social skills, um, being able to talk to anybody at any place at any time, being able to hold the conversation, be charismatic. I think those skills become even more important in a social setting, and especially in the real world. Because if intelligence is more easily available for the average person, what matters more is how you can connect with other people.
Since we're talking about the future of your life and your career, I figured we can stay on that path and talk a little bit about what you think the future of education might look like. So, in a world where I always make this joke, we tell teachers, you use AI, it could save you time, right? Then they use AI to help them come up with lesson plans. And
Yeah.
then the kids, whether we like it or not, are probably going home and using AI to do the work. And then we're like, teachers, let's save you time. And then the teachers are using AI to grade the work. So the AI created the assignment, the AI did the assignment, and the AI graded the assignment. Like, what's the point of the assignment anymore, right? So it's time to rethink what we're asking you to do in the classroom. So I put up a bunch of these guiding questions, and we can just flow off of some of the questions. But what do you think the future of school looks like? What do you think the future of an assignment looks like? What do you think? What do you envision this looking like? From a classroom to an assignment to a school to, do you even go to school? I don't know. Be innovative.
I think that school has to adapt and change. Like you were saying, it hasn't changed a lot as everything else has been changing. So I think now that's why we're really focused on schools and assignments having to change. And I think that this is all centered around changing the way assignments work, because this whole period of time that's led up to right now, we've had these assignments that everybody does the same assignments. Every assignment has the same rules, and it's write an essay, go home, write an essay, come back. And we realize that there's problems with this, but we haven't been pushed to fix it. And I think that AI is finally going to push us to fix this, because this way of teaching, this way of forcing students to learn, doesn't really expand their thinking, doesn't make them better writers, thinkers, and help them in the real world. Because what students need to learn is the skills, not just that product of that final essay, which right now, even before AI, they could have cheated with other friends helping them, a parent writing it, a tutor writing it, it doesn't change that AI is now here. So what needs to change now, and what AI is now forcing us to change, is the way assignments are created and given to students. We can't make an assignment, just say write an essay and come the next day and turn it in. The assignments have to be have guidelines based off of what they are, and they have to be more creative and personal and make a student want to learn. And I think that that's really important, because the school systems need to focus on changing this now with AI. And that goes into what we've been really advocating for, and that's the assignment by assignment basis and guidelines, because there's no one size fit all policy when we're using AI for assignments. For an essay, an AI might not be able to be used or allowed to be used in the same way that it can be used for preparing for a presentation or public speaking. Soham, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think what Amiya said is the biggest thesis behind Students for Innovation, that you can't have a one-size-fit-all policy, and you need to have specific assessment by assessment guidelines. And you have to empower every teacher to understand AI at their own level, such that they can make decisions about AI in the classroom themselves. But I think more broadly, I think that AI will help to personalize learning and revert a lot of the problems of attention span a lot of students have today, and a lot of the educational faults we see in the world today, where like students are leaving high school not having read a full book cover to cover. I do think AI actually helps teachers build lessons that allows them to cover full material like books by allowing hyper personalized, individualized lesson plans and assignments, where every student can be met where they are, every student can feel included, and every student can be heard. And I think ultimately that's what AI does, is it'll allow for each student in a classroom to get materials relative to who they are as a person. And that's just by the ability of large language models to work with large corpuses or large amounts of text, right? So I do think the hyper personalization will be one of the biggest features of AI tools moving into the future, and will affect education drastically.
What's one misconception or one thing that if you wish every teacher and every administrator understood about AI or technology? Like, what's the one thing that you wish you could instill in everyone?
I think that the one thing every teacher and educator should realize is that AI is not going away. It's in the world right now and it's not going away. And if we don't teach students how to use it right now in schools, especially in high school, once they go out into college and into the real world where AI is everywhere, they're going to be completely lost. And by not teaching them how to use AI in schools, we're putting those students at a complete disadvantage. They're going to be completely lost in the real world. They won't know how to use AI to help them and for their benefits, and to use AI in the right way to give them the success that they deserve.
I think for me, one thing that I hope teachers and administrators understand about how students use AI and technology is that it's varied. Around 50% of students have used AI once. And that means that half of most students have not used AI at all. And this stat was from a Harvard Graduate School of Education study that was published in the fall. And just by those metrics, you can't treat all students as if they use AI, but then you also can't treat all students as if AI is not a big part of their lives, because for every student, there's almost a 50-50 chance that that student could be using AI, or maybe has never touched AI in their lifetime, right? Or in their school environment. So I would hope that every educator carries that nuance as they teach in their classrooms and as they teach their students.
I think what you both really said resonates with me, because what I think is that at our core as an educator, as a leader, is to prepare students for their future. whatever their future might be. Some students might go to college, some students might just enter the workforce. But if we do our jobs well, it's not, oh, congratulations, you got a perfect score on your SATs or your state tests. Like, that's not helping you in life. What's helping you in life is setting you up for success for your future. And like you guys very, very well said, you need this to be successful. And in fact, you will not get hired if you do not know how to use this. If you go for a job interview and you have no knowledge or AI skills, why would someone want to hire you when they can hire someone who knows how to use AI well? Like you're not going to get a job. It's actually just like a fact at this point, which is crazy. But when you are going for those job interviews, like these are things you could be learning in high school. You could be learning how to build a custom chatbot for that exact job interview. You can upload and feed it like your experience, and then you can feed it the company and title and role, and have a custom chatbot like practice interviewing with you and giving you feedback for your interview, right? So those are things that teachers could be doing to prepare you to be successful.
Great point.
Yeah. We're just going to jump right into field updates now. I'll start us off with Google. Notebook LM, which I've shared on here before when I uploaded my book and I had it do a little podcast episode with my book. Now you can actually join the audio, so you can speak with the fake podcast hosts and interact with them in a dialogue. So I thought that was pretty interesting and cool. And another Google update is VO2, which is Google's new video generation model. And that's really cool. I put a link and you can check out the types of videos that it can create. But what you've seen in the episode that I had when I had Marina, who you guys know, on what we did with her students, and you met some of her former students, how we used image generation to bring their ideas to life and actually help them become stronger writers. But now you can take your words and bring them to life in a video. And I think that that's really going to enhance students' writing, because if they can take their writing and turn it into these little movies, then they're going to go back and revise and edit to get the best video. So I think we'll see a stronger writers out of something like this. And I'm sure now that I have you guys on here with me, don't you think it'd be a lot more of an interesting assignment? Because I know we're talking about assignments before, and if it's just an essay and then you hand it in and your one teacher, one person reads it, and you probably don't care about going back to revise your essay. Okay, I got my grade, I'm going to move on, right? But if you turn your writing, like Soham, you did with me for your TEDx talk, right? You took your piece of writing and you turn it into a talk. And
Yeah.
now with something like this, you can take your writing and turn it into a movie. Those types of assignments are much more interesting, and you'll probably go back and redo your work, which is what every teacher dreams of. So how do you feel about something like that?
I completely agree. I think that being able to work on a specific topic that that a student is passionate about for a longer period of time, and being able to go through that process, that like circular cycle of revising it and editing it and then coming back and completely redoing it in even in a different media like this, is really an amazing opportunity for a student to dive deeper. And every time you redo the assignment or you revise or you edit, you learn new things, and that just expands your creativity so much more. And being able to stay on that same topic for a bunch of iterations of the assignment is just a really beneficial idea. But the point is, with this video generation model, the student will never get bored of the assignment.
And I think the bigger idea here is there's a bit of a race for video generation in the same way there's a race for large language models. As we all know that OpenAI released Sora back in December. And I do think that the big result of video generation models will be to change the way we think about media creation. And I do think, as Ms. Winnick was saying, different kinds of media and mixed media will be a bigger part of education moving forward because of the ease of creation. And now you can simply just take text and turn it into image, take text, turn it into video. And I think that will be a part of student projects and the student use case.
Now we can go into the new updates from OpenAI. So one of the first big ones is that now you can search through your conversation history with ChatGPT, which I think can be really helpful, especially in research or studying when we come up with a way to use ChatGPT to tutor us, and then now it's midterms or it's finals, and we have to go back and find what we did before, or even when it's like a passion project, when we have so many different conversations with AI and we have many different ideas that we're talking about, and we want to go back to something from earlier or create like reiterations of what we've done earlier, it can be really helpful. And that brings me into the next big update, which is OpenAI now introduced folders for AI chats. So that allows you to focus on different projects at one time. So you don't have to do everything for one project in one chat. You can create a folder for everything that's related to that project, which is really helpful for organization. And then finally, the third thing, which I think is the coolest part of the newest OpenAI updates, is this new program called Operator. And this is a creation of an agent that can actually look at a web page on your browser and then allows the AI to interact with that web page by typing and clicking and scrolling, which is something completely new, something that we haven't really explored much, and it's still in a research preview right now. But I think that it's a really cool intro to what could happen in the future, because AI being able to interact with your browser and help you with research maybe, or trying to figure out where in a website your information that you're looking for is, I think is really helpful. And it will also help ChatGPT with sourcing and making sure it's getting all its information from the most credible sources. So
One mini correction to that, because it's in such beta, it's not on your browser on your computer yet. It's a browser on their servers for right now, for the time being. But that's a whole big thing once it comes on your browser. And Soham, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this, so I'm gonna let you say it before I say anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first consumer demo of an AI agent that has been a pretty big craze in tech spaces for the last year and a half. And the way that it navigates through the internet is by using its image model. So like basically taking a screenshot of a particular page, looking at different and working through different parts of a particular website, clicking on certain buttons, navigating as a human would navigate. But the big thing is Operator has not been terribly amazing in that it often cannot get through certain websites. It cannot get all the information that you might need. And for right now, it is very much still a research demo, which is why OpenAI has only rolled this out to its pro users, the users who pay $200 a month. And after OpenAI works to make Operator more reliable, that's when we will see a rollout to Plus and then maybe free users.
Wait, before we move on, I just want to explain like what this could look like. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier on the call, but if you said I'm going to the COSIN conference, which I am going, more on that later. I need to book a trip there. I could go to my OpenAI operator and it will, I can tell it I leave work at this time and I need to go to the airport, and it could book me a parking ticket near the airport, my flight, my hotel, literally everything. I could say I'm hungry, get me lunch, and it could book all of that. And you just type in your credit card. Right now it's on their browser and not on yours, so it's not auto saved. So it would require you to like log into certain systems or put in your information if you needed to. But it could literally make your whole trip and book everything and order you food and all of those things for you. So that's what this means. I just wanted to make sure that people understood what that meant. All right, now Soham's gonna take the big one.
Yeah, this is the biggest news of the last few weeks, which is DeepSeek, and specifically DeepSeek R1, a model that was released in almost the mid to end of January, and that has put the world in flames when it comes to the AI community. The reason being is DeepSeek published their model open source, which means that everyone can see how the model was made. And in that report, they said that the AI model that they trained, which is comparable to OpenAI's top published model, O1, only costed them around $6 million to create, while models like O1 have been thought to cost upwards of $1 billion plus. And in addition, R1 is 20 times cheaper to use than O1. And all of these data points kind of fueled the flames and made a lot of people worried that China is much further or at the same level of that the US is at when it comes to training and when it comes to making these AI models. And that, of course, caused the U.S. stock market to fall $1 trillion in a single day, which is extremely crazy to think about. And the important thing to think about is, one, we should be a little skeptical. There have been reports put out by leading analytics firms and semiconductor analytics firms that there's no way this model could have been made for $6 million, and it actually costed a lot more. And two, we should think about DeepSeek and how certain parts of the model are censored. So if you ask DeepSeek about Tiananmen Square or any of the Chinese government, they will not respond, and that model will not provide you any answers, right? So that's another point to be careful about, because the model is highly censored and will not provide information relating to China.
It's very interesting. Is there anything else about AI before we talk about the future of Students for Innovation?
Yeah, there's one more, which is actually the Stargate program, where
That.
so the President Trump and
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Thank you for adding
yeah,
field updates. Thank you.
so Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank are all pledging or putting together over the course of the next few years around $500 billion for AI investment. And another reason why DeepSeek was impactful is because DeepSeek came a week after this $500 billion investment, and it made everyone think that we're putting too much money into AI, and that we're spending so much, and DeepSeek is able to do so much with so little cash, right? So this is just one more thing to think about, because President Trump is very much on board with AI acceleration.
Definitely. He definitely is.
Yeah.
But I guess what we're hearing is that we may not need that amount of money to get there. If
Yeah. Yes and no. Like, some people say that a lot of the actual cost was subsidized, like, and then there's all these articles that are like debunking the 6 million number. But some people also say that they just optimized they optimized the GPUs better, so they were able to save more money. So it's a mix of opinions, honestly.
well, I guess we'll see what happens in the next few years.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I know we have our big conference coming up in May, and I know that we're looking for our student presenters. Definitely encourage your students to present. And definitely, if you're a teacher listening, you should register too. So go to studentsforinnovation.org and make sure you register. So as we wrap up, like, do you want to tell people, number one, like where we can find you, how someone can learn more about Students for Innovation? What do you see as your big vision in the future of this organization, and any like final closing thoughts?
So, as of right now, our next steps and our next vision for Students for Innovation kind of stems from our conference that we talked about earlier. And that's kind of our launching off point for starting this journey of getting students together to join us in this advocating and in this fight for increasing AI use in education. And I think as time goes on, we are looking to build our organization and spread out and get students from different parts of the country and become a larger organization so that we can open up chapters throughout the country, and just advocate for more AI in education in more regions.
What can someone do in their own school environment? Like if a teacher's listening, what can they do in their own school? Or if a parent is listening, what could their child do in their school?
So I think I'll start with the student or the child. I think that what a student can do is if they are sitting in class and they see their teachers telling them, no AI, you cannot use AI. I think the first step would be to have a conversation with the teacher and ask them why. And then beyond that, if they are able to get support from teachers in their school to create a chapter or a club within their school, and then eventually go to the administration, because a lot of schools, teachers don't really have the power. It's all the administration. I know in my school, the administration sets a lot of overall guidelines, which is what we want to stop. We want assignment by assignment guidelines with AI. So gathering students and teachers to go together to the administration and present an argument, give presentations even to the administration to persuade them of the importance of AI in education. I think that's what a student should do. That's where they should go next. And as teachers, I think similar advice to find students that that are also passionate about the same cause, and try to take that to the administration. But even within their own classrooms, teachers can start by having open conversations with their students about AI use in education and asking the students about their opinions and incorporating each individual student's ideals and how they think AI should be included in education into the classroom.
I think I'm on the same page here. I think Students for Innovation has a lot of amazing materials and resources for students, specifically presentations that we've given to schools in our area, to everyone from teachers to mayors to Board of Education members, and we as Students for Innovation would be very open to giving those materials to any students interested in presenting in their local communities to their teachers and their faculty. So if you're interested in making an impact in your community, please feel free to reach out to Students for Innovation, or you can fill out the contact us form on our website. And that's a great way to get in touch. And we, of course, can send you information, send you resources and presentations that you can use in your own school to make a difference.
And also on the website, they can join. So there's a way for them to join. When you go to the website, click Get Started, and there's a teacher and a student path. So definitely check that on the website so you can stay informed and be the first to know as we release new things. And you know that Soham and Amiya are talking about the student level of how a student can advocate, but as a leader or as a teacher, I do this in my own district as well. And I started an innovation club. So you could start your own chapter in your own school as well. And we meet once a week, and it's grades 4 and up. And we start off by watching an inspirational video that the students pick. Then we solve a real world problem, such as most recently the wildfires in LA, and innovative ways that we can solve these big problems and having these conversations. And then the students are also always learning new technology, whether it's AI or VR or anything like that, and developing presentations and professional development opportunities for their teachers, where we invite the teachers into the club and they teach the teachers how to use these things in the classrooms. So if you're interested in starting a chapter or learning more, please just make sure you go to the website and we'll keep you informed. Thank you so much. It was so fun to finally have you on, and I'm sure that we'll be having you on again because I really enjoyed having you on. So I hope to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Generative Age, powered by Nightscape. For a deeper dive, check out my new book titled How'd You Guess? The Generative Age, now available on Amazon.
Our journey may pause here, but the conversation doesn't need to end.
Stay connected and informed by following me on social media at Alana Winnick and subscribing to my newsletter, all conveniently accessible on my website, alanawinnick.com.
Don't just listen, be a part of it. With your free Nightscape membership, you can join these live discussions, enroll in our free Generative Age Nightscape community, where you can share resources, ask questions, and collaborate with like-minded colleagues. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider leaving a review and telling a colleague or a friend.
We've got so much more in store, so be sure to join us next time for another exciting conversation. Until then, keep learning and keep growing in the generative age.